This video is brought to you by Manscaped. And let me tell you, if there ever was a sponsor that was appropriate for a video, it's this one. What's that, Julius Caesar? You're about to have relations with Cleopatra? Well, don't worry. Manscaped will help you clean up downstairs and get you all kinds of presentable for your lady. And then you'll be stabbed. Stick around to the end of the video to find out more. The late 60s to mid-1970s was such a bizarre era for animation. Disney, this unstoppable animation juggernaut, had fallen on its face after Walt's death in 1966 and was in disarray. Hanna-Barbera was churning out legions of cartoons for television and was dominating a new market. But then, something really bizarre happened. A demand that caught a lot of people off guard. Adult animated movies. The films that come from this era were interesting to say the least. Fritz the Cat, Once Upon a Girl, Shame of the Jungle. Lots of experimental stuff that really drove home the point on how times were changing. And when you consider the cultural climate around this time, well, it's not too surprising that things went in this direction. There was a bit of a sexual awakening going on during the 60s and 70s. So it made sense that the media would reflect it. Mature stories and situations, bad language, and boobs. And you best believe that the father of anime, Osamu Tezuka, wanted a piece of the action. I think it's safe to say that Tezuka has always had a desire to experiment with animation and do more than just kid stuff.
Another thing I'm seeking after in animation is metamorphosis. I feel kind of eroticism in it, and I'm fascinated by that eroticism when drawing.
And that, my friends, will lead to a colossal failure of a film. Cleopatra. Nope, not her. Nope, not her either. Ah, yes, that one. And let me tell you, folks, everything about this film is buck wild. The production, the marketing, the reception, the movie itself. You're probably thinking, ah, yes, tasteful Egyptian history. But then boom! Cleopatra is holding you at gunpoint right after her plastic surgery. Bankruptcy, false advertising, scathing reviews from critics. Cleopatra was a total failure. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I haven't even mentioned the guy from the future who put his soul into a leopard, had relations with an actual leopard, and then had a family with her. Yeah, strap in, folks. This one's going to be absolutely wild. Our story begins with Osamu Tezuka, the father of manga and one of the most influential creators in the world of anime. He created Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion, and Neko, to name a few. But he also tried his hand at adult animation. I think a big reason he even had an opportunity to create mature movies to begin with was due to the success of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine back in 1968. That truly was a revolutionary film, and it showed studios at the time that audiences were hungry for more than just Disney films. With Mushi Productions at his back, Tezuka launched a series of adult animated films called Anime-Rama. There were 3 movies in total: 1001 Nights in 1969, Cleopatra in 1970, and then Belladonna of Sadness in 1973. All 3 were surreal, experimental, and very out of the norm. By the way, I plan on doing separate reviews for 1001 Nights and Belladonna of Sadness in the future. But I'm gonna keep things to the point for now. The first of these films was a critical success in Japan, but flopped in America. The second film, Cleopatra, was so devastating that it almost bankrupted Mushi Productions, and Tezuka himself straight up left the company to go form his own studio instead. Now, Mushi had enough strength at the time to finish Belladonna of Sadness, but the studio would officially declare bankruptcy in 1973 after its release. So all in all, when it comes to Anime-Rama, failure across the board. But why did Cleopatra and these other movies bomb so hard? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they were advertised in America as dirty and sexy. Movies that were worthy of the scandalous X rating. But that was far from the truth. Yes, these films featured sex and nudity, but it wasn't flat out P word. It was more artsy, if anything. Hell, Cleopatra didn't even technically have an X rating in America. Despite having an X rating in Japan, Cleopatra was never submitted to the MPAA in the US, so it was technically unrated. But the American advertisers lied and said that it was X-rated. They also renamed the movie to Cleopatra, the Queen of Sex, and said it was the first X-rated animated movie in the US, which is also a lie. That honor goes to Fritz the Cat. So all in all, Cleopatra was a critical and financial failure. And it pissed off a lot of American audiences. I mean, could you imagine being some guy going to see this back in the day, being told that this film is super sexy if you catch my meaning, getting all ready for it in the theater, which is kind of gross, but then you got this instead? Yeah, I'd want my money back too. If I want to see tasteful nudity, I would go to a museum. Thank you very much. Sub King David. Looking pretty good. So, what's the movie about? Again, whatever you think the plot might be, it's not. The film starts off in the not-so-distant future as we discover that humanity is at war with an alien species. Our three main characters, Jiro, Mary, and Harvey, intercept a message from the aliens called the Cleopatra Plan. The humans want to know more about the plan, so what do? Why, they teleport their souls into the past and then possess some random people in order to observe Cleopatra and her court and discover what happened so they can better understand what the aliens might be trying to do in the future. Yep, when we arrive in the past, we see a green Julius Caesar and his army marching into Egypt as they overthrow the pharaoh. Oh, and by the way, this movie is not historically accurate. Tezuka and his team definitely took some liberties bending the truth. For example, Cleopatra did not have a plastic surgeon who made her hot with his chemistry set. At least I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case. Cleopatra herself is being bossed around by a lady named Apollodoria. Cleo's mom? Grandma? Arando, perhaps? The movie doesn't say. But Apollo here wants Cleo to seduce Caesar and then stab him with a knife when he's not paying attention. But Cleo falls for Caesar. He then appoints her as leader of Egypt. And then the two have a kid together. Which is hilarious, cause that's when Apollo is like, "Now's your chance, stab him." It's like, lady, I just had a kid. Give me a minute. At this point, you're probably wondering, where are the future people? And trust me, I was thinking the exact same thing while watching the film. Well, Mary was put into the soul of Cleo's assistant, Libya, while Jiro possesses some Greek gladiator. And then poor Harvey here was put into the soul of a leopard. Okay. When it comes to the future characters, they don't really do that much in the movie, to be honest. They just kind of hang out, which I guess was the point of their mission? I don't know. We'll talk more about that later in the video. Just know that Jiro here gets into a gladiator fight and wins with a gun.
Point blank in broad daylight.
At the end, Caesar gets assassinated, and Cleo hooks up with a general named Mark Antony. Mark here heads to Egypt, and Apollo is like, "Yes, now seduce this guy and kill him too." But just like before with Caesar, Cleo ends up falling in love with Mark Antony. But oh no! Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, is on the warpath and defeats Mark in battle. Mark then crawls back to the palace, dies in Cleo's hands, and then Cleo and the future people run off to the pyramids, where they are confronted by Octavian. Apollo is like, "Now's your time, Cleo, seduce him too." But then Octavian is like, "Nope," and he kills Apollo and completely ignores Cleo's advances. And you want to know why that's the case? Well, let's just say that the movie makes it abundantly clear what Octavian prefers. Cleo then kills herself with a snake, the future people go back to their time, and then the most bizarre thing happens. By the way, folks, brace yourselves. The future people somehow discover that the Cleopatra plan was a scheme by the aliens to pretend to be sexy human ladies and seduce the men of Earth and make them weak. What? They didn't even show us that! We're just told! And like it matters anyway, because it looks like they just nuked the aliens at the end. So what was the point? And why even time travel to discover this? Couldn't you all just read a history book instead? Oh my god. On that crazy note, I got a treat for you all. Because the actual history of what happened with Cleopatra and Caesar is much more interesting. Check it out.
Draft? What actually happened?
So basically, Caesar was in the middle of a civil war, made a pit stop in Egypt when he was chasing down this guy Pompey. Pompey was already killed. So while he was in Egypt, Cleopatra kind of threw herself at him. They had a fling. It pissed off a lot of people back in Rome, but Caesar went back to Rome, became dictator, was assassinated by Brutus and Cassius and some other senators, Mark Antony, his loyal general, and Octavian, his adopted son, formed a new triumvirate, which quickly broke down, and then there was another civil war, and Mark Antony started losing, so he retreated to Egypt, where then once again Cleopatra kind of seduced him or whatever, started having a relationship. Then, as seen in the movie, there was the Battle of Actium, where Mark Antony's forces were soundly defeated. He goes back to Egypt, locks himself into the palace in Alexandria. Octavian shows up with his army, demands that he surrender. He commits suicide instead, and Cleopatra commits suicide with the snake, and that's it. Oh, and Octavian goes on to become the first emperor, and everyone starts calling him Augustus.
Wait, you're telling me Caesar wasn't green?
You know, the histories don't say anything about that,
They
but
don't say.
So, what are my overall thoughts about Cleopatra? Well, let's start off with the story, because it was something else. Off the bat, the plot is very confusing. What was the point of the future characters and setting? That was unnecessary and only created problems throughout the rest of the film. There were moments where we wouldn't see the future characters for upwards of 20 minutes. And when they did reappear, I was like, oh yeah, those guys are in the movie, aren't they? Kinda reminds you of another major franchise, eh?
Hey, what's the matter you, Altair?
That's racist.
You're racist.
The flow of the film itself is bizarre to say the least. Lots of random segments that come out of nowhere. There was a parade of art at one point in Rome that featured pieces from around the world, like the Can-Can or the Mona Lisa. There was a kabuki theater about Caesar's assassination. And then there was not just one, but two abstract sex scenes with Cleo and Caesar. So yeah, there's no doubt about it. This film is incredibly avant-garde with its story and how it wanted to present things. Nothing wrong with that, but it definitely hurt the pacing and the overall flow of the movie. Like I said before, the future characters aren't necessary. On top of that, they aren't interesting either. You got sexy servant, blonde beefcake, and horny Chester Cheetah. And they don't add anything to the film outside of confusion and hand grenades. Cleopatra, Caesar, Mark Antony, and Octavian are the most interesting characters in the film. But two of those four characters, Mark and Octavian, don't even show up until halfway throughout the film. They should have been there early on. So it would have built up to a more interesting finale between these two. But oh well. I will say this though. I'm a bit confused about the overall themes and message of the film. It's about a woman seducing and controlling powerful men, right? That's what the Cleopatra plan said in the epilogue. But I never got that vibe from Cleo in the movie. If anything, she was just being forced to act against her will in order to save Egypt. But she had genuine feelings for both Caesar and Mark Antony, so it doesn't come across as controlling or nefarious to me. If anything, the encroaching Romans came across as the bad guys. So, does that mean the future humans are the equivalent of the conquering Romans, and the aliens are the Egyptians? Yeah, that one stumps me, and I don't know what the movie was trying to get at. Hell, even the future girl, who saw the horrors of the Romans in Egypt, screamed at them and told them to leave before going back to the future. The irony! Cause y'all are about to go back home and then go invade an alien planet, just like the Romans did to the Egyptians. It would have been much more interesting and made much more sense if the future humans realized that they were the bad guys, and that the Cleopatra plan was an act of desperation in order to stop the future humans. But you know what? Who cares? Let my robot assistant pour you all a drink instead. Now, I don't mind the movie goofing on history. That's completely fine. I just don't think that they use the history of Cleopatra or the Romans that effectively. Again, the irony. The story the movie wanted to tell about the aliens would have made more of an impact if the plot stayed true to actual historical events. The real-life Cleopatra was a brilliant political manipulator and was incredibly clever when it came to controlling Roman leaders. Hell, she was even able to bang one of the most powerful conquerors in human history. She knew what she was doing on her own. But no, let's have some old crone boss her around instead and use magic to make Cleopatra pretty, cause why the hell not? That all being said, there are things about this movie that I did enjoy, even if they were confusing. The voice acting was great, the song segments were bizarre but mesmerizing, and even some of the random humor got a laugh out of me. There was one part where Cleo shouts out, "Somebody help him!" And then Astro Boy just shows up out of nowhere for like a second, and then it cuts right back to the movie. What? I legit laughed hard at that and was like, did that just happen? Now, the portrayals of Caesar, Mark Antony, and Octavian were good to me. One of the few times in the movie where the artistic liberties of history were utilized in a fun way. Their personalities, their character designs, I liked it. Even the skin color of Caesar and Octavian, which was off-putting at first, grew on me. It made these Roman leaders seem less human to the Egyptians and more like foreign invaders, perhaps even alien. Overall though, I think Cleopatra suffers from losing itself with being artsy and sporadic, and I believe could improve by quite a lot by trimming the fat. Get rid of the future stuff, overhaul Cleo's character, and follow through with more direction. As far as the animation goes, it was fine. It's what you would expect from Tezuka and his team. Goofy but fun character designs, a blend of limited but also fluid animation, and even some bizarre superimposed faces that were animated over live action actors. Real talk, that was interesting and very experimental, and of course, plenty of sexy girls, cause Tezuka was not about to let this adult rating go unappreciated. If anything, folks, the studio behind Cleopatra had too much fun and could have used some better guidance. But instead, we got this, and I suppose that's okay too. In conclusion, Cleopatra is one hell of a ride. Its production, its reception, its marketing, every facet of this movie is a roller coaster of craziness, and that's why I love it. Now, I don't love it for good reasons, because this film is undoubtedly full of problems, but I absolutely love it for being such a hot mess. For real, how often do we get productions like this, where the artists are given too much control? Sure, let's make it super mature. Why the hell not? And let's give Caesar a car. And let's put in multiple song segments that are super abstract with bizarre pacing and visuals, and leaves most audiences confused. We can do whatever we want, because our boss Tezuka is an absolute freak of nature. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? Wah. Yes, this movie could be streamlined by a considerable amount. It could drop the sci-fi stuff. It could overhaul the characters. It could use elements of history more effectively. A lot of changes could be made to make Cleopatra a more coherent and palatable for audiences. But then we wouldn't have this. Something that's truly unique and should be a required viewing for any fan of bizarre and novelty animation. It was a flash in the pan, and I highly recommend it. So, go watch it right now, or I'll fold you up into a burlap sack and send you down the Nile. Don't worry, I'll keep you away from Chester Cheetah.
Hi, my name is Saberspark. I want to thank today's sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped did hook me up with quite the awesome care package and tools. It is the all-in-one performance package kit. Nice. And let's check it out. Again, like I already opened things up. They got this cool like newspaper thing talking about the wonders of shaving your, you know. I do like that there's a bit of an aesthetic to it all. It's not just the products. You can tell that Manscaped definitely has a sense of humor and wants to use it to disarm the uncertainty, because a lot of us guys, we don't really take much time to groom ourselves, and it's pretty bare bones compared to what ladies do. So getting this was nice, because I'm like, okay, I actually get to try stuff. I get to like take care of my body, and it just so happens it's also for my lady. Honey, hi, how are you? This is the new Lawnmower 3.0. It's a waterproof trimmer with advanced skin safe technology, and it reduces nicks. And again, like I've already used it, and I was like, okay, I got away unharmed. Thank you. Again, I opened everything. Sorry, Manscaped, I'm throwing your stuff around. Haven't tried this out yet, but I'm looking forward to it. The ball deodorant. Had no idea there even was a ball deodorant. It's called the Crop Preserver. I like it. That's a pretty good name. And there's also a ball toner spray. I'm told here by Manscaped that's a game changer. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. Here, this is the ball toner, and I'm gonna tone my balls with it. See, folks don't know that my avatar actually has a lower body, and that I actually have a lower body. All right, this next thing I like a lot because it came at a very opportune time. It is the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. So I'm fortunate enough to where I don't have hair in my ears yet, but it's definitely in my nose. Where'd it go? Here we go. The Weed Whacker. So I hate plucking my nose hairs. I hate it. It stings so much. But with this, you can just trim them out. Yep. How's that nose trimming ASMR? I'm gonna open a second channel for that. I like this a lot. It helps a lot. Prevents the stinging of plucking the nose hairs. And they got this cool kit for trimming your fingernails. Like you get these little scissors for trimming. You got a little file for getting your fingernails and your toes. A clipper. If you do need to pluck, there it is. Got some pliers. Not pliers. It's not pliers. Tweezers. So yeah, you got all kinds of tools here to help trim your nails and toenails, which, let's be real here, like I think a lot of ladies and guys like to make sure that we've got good fingernails and cuticles and whatnot. Take care of your fingers. People see those. They gave me a free kit to carry everything. This Manscaped bag, which is nice. It's leather and stylish. I like the colors, brown and black. Carry all that stuff in. I like it. And then here's the thing that really surprised me, because I like all the things they've given me so far, of course. They give me this cologne, by the way. I've used this. I like the smell, and I asked my girlfriend if she liked the smell, and she said that she does. I'm not sure if the camera's catching me in focus or not. I'll do an individual shot after this to catch everything. But yeah, the cologne's nice. Here's the thing that caught me off guard. I was like, whoa. Another gift that came with the bag was a gift. The boxer briefs are a gift. I love these things. They're so comfortable. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know they made boxer briefs. And they're my favorite pair of boxer briefs that I have. So overall, I'm a big believer, a big fan of Manscaped. I really am. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they have all these things for men to take care of themselves, to groom ourselves, to make sure that we're, trimming our stuff, and looking presentable for the girls and the guys in our lives. And I think it gives us a sense of pride and dignity to be better caretakers. And this kit really set me up for that. I like it a lot. I mean, out of all the things I've ever received from like other companies, I think this is the one that I've been the most excited about. And I actively use and look forward to, where I'm in the bathroom in the morning. I'm like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm becoming presentable. So go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code SABER20 at manscaped.com. So the link's right there. It's in the description. Again, I genuinely like this product. These products, I think they're top tier. Good stuff. Recommend them. Check them out.